What's going on out there? Tell me about the stimulus bill. How's that coming along?
Well, for better or worse, that one's DOA. It looks like. The Senate offered up $1 trillion spending package with about $600 billion new and $400 billion reallocated. Democrats didn't like that. Because they want about $2.5 trillion in spending. Now, whatever you're talking about, just remember that that's not real money. That's just that gets put into a ledger because we don't have any real money. You're looking at we've already overspent what we bring in our revenue this year, probably in the neighborhood of $4 trillion on the books, but if you count everything, it's probably closer to $6 or $7 trillion. And I never would have thought that I would casually throw off the term $6 or $7 trillion. That's just $6 or $7 trillion. That's the hole that we've dug this year alone.
So we were talking about this in the previous hour. When what does the word statesmanship mean anymore? Because it seems like everyone digs in on their things, and there seems to be little negotiation anymore. When did statesmanship in relation to negotiation in the Congress die? When did that happen?
About 175 years ago.
Oh, that's.
Well, I will tell you. If you really want to see where the final stake went through, it was when the day Donald Trump was elected. It shocked the Democrats so badly that the very next day that you had a member of Congress file a resolution of impeachment or prepare a resolution of impeachment for President Trump. But this is before the guy got into office. And so once you actually moved in that direction simply because you were so invested in Hillary Clinton presidency, and then when it didn't happen, you basically said, well, we don't care about policy anymore. We're going to live on politics. And then that was a slow ball rolling, but it picked up momentum so that by the time you were a good 9-12 months into it, it was very difficult at that point to get bipartisanship on issues. I mean, I still work with folks on the other side of the aisle on different things, but to really sit down and try to solve big issues, whether it may be border security, immigration, how do you deal with budget deficits, et cetera, that's really, really difficult now. Although I am working with some of the most liberal members of Congress on some issues like big tech and how do you deal with big tech, how do you deal with endless wars, and so those are cross-line issues. But the Uniparty in D.C. tries to squelch those. So when I'm working with the liberal members and conservative members of Congress, we're fighting the Uniparty, the Nancy Pelosi wing of the Democrat Party, and some of the war hawks in the Republican Party.
The Schweikert has said that when they were doing tax cuts on Ways and Means, that there were people who helped build the tax cuts bill that were Democrats who actually could not actually vote for the bill that they helped build. That's how crazy it is right now.
Right. That's exactly right. And we see that with other issues as well, where they'll sit down behind the room and talk, and work with you, try to get the best bill that they can, knowing it's best for the country. But you have the left wing has basically co-opted completely the Democrat Party, and it's very, very partisan. I would say you probably have good 60, 80 members of the Democrats that are willing and able to sit down and work with you on some stuff, but by and large, they're going to get that's going to get killed by the leadership.
I got a small giggle out of the Arizona Republic's quote hard news story about Andy Biggs and his tweeting about COVID-19.
Oh my gosh! Well, the beauty of those guys are when you sit down and you say, well, let's go over these numbers, these facts with you, and they're not my numbers. I don't make them up. And then you give them if you've got a stack of studies on certain issues, and you'll give them to them, and they'll say, well, you're not a doctor. And I said, no, I'm not a doctor, but I can read these studies just as you can.
Right. that hard news story about your tweets was like hitting you with a wet egg noodle. That's how weak that was.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I welcome that stuff because I think it's funny, and every time the Republic does stuff like that, the base in my district, they're like, well, yeah, good, because nobody trusts the Republic anymore. It's a throwaway newspaper basically now. It's 4 pages wrapped around the USA Today, and people it's going to be delivered for free of charge pretty soon, and it's all going to be coupons and that type of thing.
If the Arizona Republic is 4 pages wrapped around or whatever, I don't know what that makes the Arizona Daily Star. Maybe a fortune cookie little thing inside there. That's how scary that is. Tell me, you are definitely not a mask guy. So
right.
Is it just the idea that right now, and we just saw that story on the 24th out of the Washington Examiner, the CDC talking about the mask doesn't really do anything if someone's got COVID and they're 15 minutes in front of you breathing on your face, which is how you really get this.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they basically said, because think about it, what they have said is you're not at risk if you're within 6 feet of somebody for fewer than 15 minutes. So if you're 10 minutes hanging around me and I have got COVID, you're not likely to get it, right? I mean, it's really low risk. And yet if you wear a mask and you're there with me for 2 hours, the mask's not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything at 16 minutes or 20 minutes. And so basically they themselves have said masks don't do anything.
Right.
And so Fauci himself has said, well, masks make people feel better. That's what it's about. Well, you know what? If that's what floats your boat, then I'm all for it. If you want to wear a mask, Chris, go ahead and wear a mask.
Right.
But why in the world should government arrest you, as some people want? Why in the world should government fine you if you're not wearing a mask? Because the left-wing media has promulgated this in such a way that they've created such a fear that if I don't wear a mask in a store that doesn't require a mask, I'm going to get these dirty looks, and I can live with dirty looks. I mean, I've had the Republic go after me with those stories, as you know. So the point is, it should be your choice, and we should acknowledge what the CDC said, and we should acknowledge that it isn't just the CDC. It is public health officials around the world confirm and share the same opinion that CDC has.
Well, and then when you look at the actual numbers, I just read off all the countries who are way in a worse COVID situation than we are, who have had mask mandates on since March 18th.
Yeah, I mean, I think of Peru, I think of the Philippines, I think of Hawaii, I think of L.A. and L.A. County and other parts of California. And you know what? It didn't do it. Just like the lockdowns actually caused more harm. That's what the studies are now coming out. They're saying, and when this is all said and done, we're going to find out that the lockdowns by the governors and mayors was really detrimental, and some of these mask mandates, some of these others. And don't forget this one that just came out from CDC. In a survey that they did, about 1/2 of people who needed treatment or were going in for diagnostic examinations, half of them did not go in because of the fear engendered by COVID.
Sure.
And that, and that's different than studies that were done with for neurology and brain tumors and brain issues, which was 80% of people didn't go in for treatment or diagnostics. And so you created a secondary public health crisis that is silent right now. Nobody's listening to that. Nobody's paying attention to that. And when we find this out, we're going to say, well, wait a second. We kind of overreacted, and that's, again, getting back to things like the CDC report on case fatality rates. And Birx herself, Deborah Birx, saying that we've overcounted by a minimum of 25%. That's the minimum we've overcounted COVID fatalities. So, but, we still scared the crap out of people so badly that it's hard to put the genie back in the bottle and move to rationality. And now, and I just watched something on a TV network here, they're now saying, well, yeah, now we've got the flu coming in. And so when you start crossing that into it, imagine what the public health bureaucrats are going to want to do with that flu matching the ongoing COVID issue.
Absolutely, and like I said, and all these petty tyrants have found they like their power, and they don't know if they want to give it up yet.
Right, Chris, I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, and we have one of our own state officials saying to businesses, "You should have prepared or get prepared." You know, well, what for? What for government lockdowns? For government coming and shutting down my otherwise legal business?
Well, and I think the other thing that scares me, Andy, and I know we got to get going, is everyone says, "Oh, this will all be over by Election Day," and I say, "Will it? I don't know. I don't see the people down in Pima County, the Democrat council, and this board of supervisors letting go of this anytime soon. It's going to have to take Doug to totally do a huge override on them, and I don't know when that's happening."
Well, it's impossible to predict because this left the realm of science and data a long time ago, and has been politically driven, and it's not a concern about of health necessarily. It's concern about political outcomes.
As we like to say.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Welcome to the 175th day of a 14-day lockdown. Remember that. So.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Andy,
that's sad.
It's very sad. Andy, it was great talking to you as always, sir.
Thanks, Chris. Take care.